Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 263. Hope you're all doing great on this third week of September. If you need a bit of a reprieve from all the news about the Queen, you will find it here this hour. Even though I was on TV last week talking about all the tech that Queen Elizabeth II used during her reign for reaching out to people. It's pretty remarkable, actually, from radio and the first royal coronation on TV to using the internet, to having a message placed on the moon. She used Zoom during the pandemic and digital animation with Paddington Bear earlier this year, as you may have seen. But I digress. We're not going to chat about the Queen this week. Instead, we do have a fantastic Tech It Out planned for you this hour. First up, you've likely heard of grandparent scams, but you might not know how much these scummy cybercriminals are raking in by stealing from your friends and family. The number may shock you. And that's only among those who have even reported the crime, being a victim. So we're going to talk with Visa's Michael Jabbara, Global Head of Fraud Services, all about that in a moment. Also on Tech It Out this hour, a new digital health platform called Koble. It's an app that serves as a prenatal and postpartum support team on your smartphone. And that's Koble, Koble. And finally, no doubt you've used QR codes in the past, maybe to pull up a menu at a restaurant and such. But we're going to chat with Spokenote about their product called Spokenote stickers with little QR codes on them that let you easily and instantly add video notes to anything. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick things off with our first interview. With National Grandparents Day taking place earlier in the week, I thought it would be an ideal time to discuss cybersecurity, specifically as it pertains to this often targeted group, and explore some simple ways for you and your loved ones to remain on guard and protected from fraudsters lurking out there today. To discuss grandparent scams, as they're called, and other threats, I'm thrilled to have back onto the show Michael Jabbara. He's VP and Head of Global Fraud Services at Visa. Welcome back, Michael. Good to chat with you again.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Awesome. Now, look, we just celebrated National Grandparents Day, and so I do think it's a good time to discuss a sensitive issue, which is elder fraud, for a lack of a better phrase, including the so-called grandparent scams that we've been hearing about in the news. I guess awareness plays a big role here. So before we talk tips to better protecting our loved ones from malicious types, what are the risks exactly that face seniors today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a very timely topic, especially as we're going back to school and we're gearing up for the holidays. But let me kind of set some context first, just to provide a little bit of background here. So it's no surprise that over the last couple of years, we have seen this massive shift towards digital payments and digital transactions. My mother, who prior to the pandemic had never made a online transaction before, now doesn't even step foot into a grocery store, just orders all of that stuff online. And so it's been this massive shift in kind of trying new payment use cases. But with this shift to digital commerce, there's also this increased focus from fraudsters on targeting those payment use cases. It makes them more susceptible for those types of scams. And this is especially true for elder individuals who may be a target just given their relative lack of know-how and tech sophistication. And they also don't necessarily always report crimes and the fraud to authorities. So it's kind of a great win-win for a fraudster. It's kind of high pay, low risk.
Great point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as an example of the grandparent scam, you could have a fraudster who spoofs a relative's phone number and sends a text to the grandparent asking for money due to a medical emergency, or they need money for textbooks, or whatever the case may be. And they're able to glean those personal details because the grandparent had posted pictures on Facebook or Instagram. And so they're able to craft a very believable text message. Or similar, but slightly different concept there is when a family member does actually get hacked and the fraudster gets access to their email, they'll target their elder family members with kind of a similar plea for money or for help because they know they can play on their emotion. They're more likely to get a hit from those individuals versus those who are a little bit more suspicious and more on the lookout for these types of fraud schemes.
Wow. Yeah, very scary. And I know that it's even happening on the phone. If I'm not mistaken, I've been hearing increasing reports of people using software to even change their voice to make it sound like their grandson because they have access to this data on social media. They can make the connection, whether it's automated or someone manually is researching this, which takes it to the next level. I mean, that's pretty scary stuff. It's like the deep fakes, if you will, but audio, not video.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think that's the key around social engineering, which has been around for a long time, right? Phishing is a type of social engineering where the fraudster is sending a fraudulent message that is attempting to trick the individual into providing sensitive information or to download malicious software or, again, to send funds. You can think of kind of the original version of this back in the 90s with the Nigerian prince emails, right? Well, we've come a long way since then because now there's this technology available where you can scrape the internet for this type of detail and run automated scripts that allow you to craft personalized messages, personalized text messages, and send them to a whole host of individuals in a very targeted manner that allow you to increase the yield on the recipients, falling for the scam that you're running.
Wow.
And that also includes, phishing, which you refer to, or voice phishing, where the fraudster will actually modify their voice to your point and then leave a message for the individual either pretending to be a reputable company or a family member so that they can provide, sensitive card detail or provide their account name and password so that they can log into their online banking portal and transfer funds out. So it's very impressive and somewhat scary evolution in the deployment of these classic techniques.
Yeah, very scary indeed. And of course, since you're with Visa, Michael, I do want to talk to you about shopping advice in a moment and staying safe there. But you brought up vishing, which is these phony phone calls that pretend they're from, Microsoft or Amazon or what have you.
Yeah.
This happened to my mom and she almost fell for it. There's smishing attacks. And despite its silly sounding name, this is like an email phishing attempt, but through a text message, SMS phishing. Again, looking legitimate and trying to lure you into giving out personal information for identity theft purposes, which will lead to fraud, no doubt. So phishing, smishing, vishing, and then I got one more for you, and I'm kind of making this up. I call it dishing from dating sites because catfishing issues on dating sites, and that includes dating sites for seniors, places like Our Time and the like, they are also misleading seniors into believing that they're getting involved in a romantic relationship with them, and then they ask them for money and then never heard of again. So this poor demographic, they're really getting hit from all sides here.
No, that's exactly right. And, I think there's kind of a couple of factors at play here. Kind of one I mentioned before, just the relative lack of sophistication around kind of how technology can be used and exploited for illicit gain.
And just more trusting too, I think.
And more trusting, exactly. So because you're playing on their emotions, because you're pretending to be a family member who's in need, or you're pretending to be a company that requires validation of your personal information, or else your account is going to be deactivated, right? There is always this panic on their side to want to be willing to help. And that's used against them. And then the other key factor, too, is the fact that they're less likely to report fraud.
Yeah, the FBI confirmed that, right?
That's right. Yep. The FBI has mentioned that senior citizens are less likely to report fraud. We've seen public figures from the FTC that show that, 44% of younger people report losing money to fraud, but only 20% of older people did the same. So, if it doesn't get reported, the criminal is less likely to get caught. So, where are you going to focus, right? It's the high reward, low risk demographic.
And I get it. Like I shared with you anecdotally that my mom almost got duped into giving out personal information. And she was so embarrassed when I'm like, Mom, you know better. Like, thankfully, it didn't get that far, but she was so embarrassed. So I can understand why people don't want to report these things. We're chatting with Michael Jabbara. He is Vice President and Head of Global Fraud Services at Visa. We're talking about grandparent scams and other related issues for seniors following National Grandparents Day taking place earlier this week. So a timely discussion. Let's now pivot and chat shopping. We're entering the busy shopping season. What are some of the issues that our listeners or their loved ones, their parents or grandparents, should know about? And I think you also have some shocking stats about cybercrime in this light.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So cybercrime has cost Americans over 50 years old nearly $3 billion last year, which is a 62% increase from 2020, according to the FBI's 2021 Elder Fraud Report. And the median financial loss for adults age 70 and above is much higher than other age groups, right? So if you look at the 20 to 29, the average loss is about $324. When you go to 60 to 69-year-olds, that number goes up to $426. And then for the 70 to 79-year-old age group, that median loss is about $635, which are, quite shocking figures. But then you go further up on the age spectrum, and for ages 80 and up, those are the most heavily impacted, with the median loss was about $1,300.
Wow.
So if you think about these kind of age groups, they're retirees, most of them are likely on a fixed income. It's not an insignificant impact, to their livelihood.
This is very disturbing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And of course, having you on the line, we're going to chat tips in a moment, some best practices to reducing the odds of falling victim. After all, what's the point of talking about all the risks, all the threats out there if we don't address how to fight back, how to protect your loved ones? So stick with us. More Tech It Out coming right up with Michael Jabbara, Global Head of Fraud Services at Visa. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Before we continue chatting with Michael Jabbara, Head of Global Fraud Services at Visa, to talk about grandparent scams and other threats that seniors face in cyberspace today. A huge thank you to ASUS, the title sponsor of Tech It Out. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops, like its ZenBooks, VivoBooks, ExpertBooks, StudioBooks, Chromebooks, and more. They have some amazing laptops you got to check out at asus.com/US/radio. That's ASUS.com/US/radio. Let's now continue chatting with Michael Jabbara from Visa. Now, before the break, Michael, we were talking about various scams, and we'll talk about fighting back in a moment, but there are other scams that are targeting seniors, right? Like maybe you can talk to us about healthcare insurance fraud and counterfeit prescription drug related issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretending to be a legitimate online pharmacy and sending through placebo drugs your way, pretending to be a legitimate charity that is raising funds for drought relief in Asia, but it's all a front and the money is being pocketed by the fraudster. So it's really kind of thinking about how can they raise their suspicion radar up a little bit.
It's one thing defrauding someone, which is horrible enough, but by sending placebo drugs to someone, that also can, of course, result in sickness or death. So, absolutely. I mean, wow, this is, a bigger issue than I think many people expect. So let's now end off on some best practices, some tips from you, Michael, on how to mitigate these risks.
The best advice is you really have to protect your personal information when you're online. Right. I think being online has been a tremendous resource for elder individuals for connecting with family and friends and remaining informed on what's going on in the news. I mentioned my mom and how now she's an avid online shopper. But with the greater interactions that you have in the digital space, the bigger your footprint is, the more data elements that are available for fraudsters to leverage and deploy against you. So you really have to think about kind of how to reduce that online data footprint as much as possible. You lock your front door, you bolt it up. Same thing with your phone. Make sure that you're using a passcode or a fingerprint to lock your phone or tablet. If you have online accounts, make sure that you have two-factor authentication, which means that not only do you need to enter a password, but you'll also get a text message sent to your phone with a PIN that you enter to access your account. It makes it more challenging for a fraudster to impersonate you online.
Right.
Going back to that suspicion radar, right? Like that radar should start to beep whenever you see a scam that could potentially be too good to be true, or there's a high level of urgency from the individual that you're talking with in terms of the need to access funds or access your account. And if anybody online, even if they're pretending to be a family member, is asking you to wire them money or buy them an iTunes gift card, be very wary. It's likely the result of a scam. And again, just you can be on the lookout for these types of situations that tend to prey on your emotions, these types of emergencies. Somebody is stranded somewhere and needs to call AAA, or somebody has been injured and needs money for the emergency room. Somebody's been laid off and they need the money, or else they're going to be out of their apartment because they can't afford the rent anymore. It's a very kind of common way to prey on the other individual's emotions and successfully get the money.
And be sure to share this information that you're hearing now if you have aging relatives that may not be up on all of these scams. It doesn't hurt, kind reminder, without sounding condescending, to make sure that they recognize all of these risks. They're ever evolving. And as I said earlier, they're coming at these poor folks from all sides. So make sure that they are armed with information.
I actually recommend, whenever you're visiting home for the holidays or just to hang out with your family, doing like a quick tech check, go through, make sure that the passwords being used are strong, that they do have two-factor authentication turned on, that they can feel like you're a resource that they can come to just gut check whether this seems fishy or not. My mom now sends me screenshots of all SMS messages that she gets from her bank to let me know, like, is this legitimate? Should I respond? Should I not respond? And I'm happy to do it, right? Because it's, of course, it's better me than, her falling prey to a scam. So just kind of being a resource for your loved ones, I think is a tremendous help.
Love it. As we wrap up, Michael, what is Visa doing specifically to help fight back? You mentioned billions with a B in anti-fraud measures over the years. And is there a website where you'd recommend our listeners turn to as well?
We absolutely take this issue very seriously. We've invested over $9 billion in the last 5 years in technology and innovation to stop these types of fraud attacks. So we have some fairly sophisticated cybersecurity that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify when we're seeing early indications of a fraud attack, and to be able to stop it before it inflicts significant financial losses on our clients and our cardholders. And we're constantly working to not only improve our technology, but also improve our consumer education. So we provide a lot of tips and best practices on common fraud schemes that are kind of seasonal. So when it comes to, tax season and tax refund season, we'll put out some information in terms of here's what you should be on the lookout for. Similarly, with the holiday shopping season coming up, we'll be doing that once again. So we really want to empower consumers to be the first line of defense against fraudsters and to be their own kind of advocate when it comes to fighting back against fraud.
And the best website, I believe, is visa.com/security.
That's exactly right. Visa.com/security.
I really appreciate you carving out some time to chat with us, Michael, a lot of time to go through the various scams targeting seniors, this often vulnerable group, and more importantly, how to fight back. Thanks again for your time, Michael.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Mark.
When we return, the Koble app for prenatal and postpartum support for new and expectant moms. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. For our next interview, I love when technology can enhance or enrich your life, and in some cases, even before you're born. When you talk about a digital health platform like Koble, spelled Koble, and this app serves as a prenatal as well as postpartum support team in your pocket from your first trimester to their first birthday, if you will. Joining us to tell us all about Koble is Swati Matta. She is the founder and CEO of Koble, joining us on the line from Toronto. Thanks for your time, Swati. Good to chat with you.
Likewise, Mark. It's so nice to be here.
Thank you. So why don't we just start at a high level? What is Koble all about?
Absolutely. So Koble is a health and well-being app for expecting and new parents. Koble provides parents access to guidance from 16 types of experts, live and on-demand masterclasses, and one-to-one coaching from an experienced doula, all at their fingertips.
So it is an app rather than a website, just to be clear?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm assuming you can use a smartphone or a tablet?
Mostly smartphone is what our users use today,
Sure.
but yes. If someone chooses to use their tablet, for sure.
Okay. And where does the name come from? Koble with a K.
Yeah. So Koble is a Norwegian word and it means to connect. And that's exactly what we're on a mission to do. We want to connect parents with the support they need. And there's no other word that describes that better than Koble.
Love it. So look, it's been said good technology solves the problem. With that in mind, Swati, what's wrong with the old way of parenting support, prenatal or postnatal? What was wrong with the way that we would seek help in the past?
Oh, do we have enough time for this?
I set you up. Go for it.
Right. Look, we live in a world where most people can stream any show, movie, or song on demand, right? Yet, parents of our generation are still reading the same books.
What to expect when you're expecting?
Yeah. Attending the same hospital birth as the previous generation. So you've nailed it, right? And we're expected to retain all that information at the time of need. So most of the parents, what happens is they end up spending hours on Google and Reddit threads looking for answers to feel more anxious, right? And worse in an emergency room. I don't know if this has happened with your friends or families. It certainly happened with, some of my close friends who have ended up in the ER. Just feeling worried and anxious, right?
Yeah, especially if you're reading conflicting information online. Like you have to know where to trust. It could be tough.
You got it. And that's exactly why we've created Koble, so that our generation of parents have access to expert guidance on demand.
All right. And again, the topics vary, but it's all tied to parenting, whether the baby is still in the womb or you've delivered your child and you've got some questions or concerns. With that in mind, can you walk us through how it works, maybe through some sample experiences? And to be clear, does it also work across the entire country?
Yeah, so Koble is available for expecting and new parents across the US. So the Koble app starts by personalizing the experience for the parent's stage and needs. So say the person listening in today is a mother who recently gave birth and is interested in learning about feeding. What Koble will do is, in knowing that information, Koble would recommend masterclasses offered by our lactation consultant, guiding them through the process of feeding. And we also give our members the ability to book a one-to-one appointment if they choose to. So now imagine if the person is in a masterclass, either live or on demand, they have access to this expert, they can interact with this expert and also chat with other parents, all just because, we need a community, again, to really raise a kid, right? So it really gives them that access of expert and other parents to learn skills like, say, breastfeeding.
Yeah, it takes a village, right? Okay. We are chatting with Swati Matta. She is the founder and CEO of Koble. That's Koble. This is a digital health platform for new parents, be it prenatal concerns or questions you have or postpartum support. Consider it a team of healthcare providers in your pocket. Before we wrap up and talk costs, why do you think, just I guess at a higher level, family tech or FamTech is really taking off in, let's call it post-pandemic life?
I think pandemic in general was such a huge awakening for us in many ways, right? But when you look at, or you specifically hone in on parents, over 2 million women dropped out of the labor force because they were caring or were the primary caregiver in their household. So in my mind, what that's done is it fueled women to speak up and ask for help, right? It generated the dialogues we needed within families, within employers, all to encourage this equality or equity in how household and parenting roles are distributed. And to me, honestly, that's what's really led innovation across the caregiving sector, right? Not only just to support the birthing person or the mother or the women, but to really enable others in the family, partners, be it support people, to take charge and approach this family health and well-being as a unit, not individuals.
Great. And how much is Koble? And what's the best place to get going? We just recommend to download the app and sign up?
You got it. Yes. So folks can download Koble from either of the two app stores. They can also try Koble for free if they choose to. But for those listening, we're happy to offer $40 off our yearly membership. All they need to do is use the code Koble40 off.
Oh, great. Thank you. That's very generous of you. And what is the annual cost?
So today in the US, it's about $150 per year for all you can kind of consume membership. And we also offer monthly packages similarly.
Okay. So instead of an a la carte model where you pay for what you use, it's more of an all-you-can-eat or buffet approach. So you pay that one lump sum per year, $150 in the US, or 200 Canadian, and then you have access to those healthcare professionals on demand, or you've got pre-recorded content as well.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. And then again, if you're on iPhone or iPad, you can just go to the App Store. If you're on an Android device, you go to the Google Play Store and type in Koble. And thank you, Swati, for the generous code to have $40 off your first year of an annual subscription. And that code again is
Koble40 off.
Koble40 OFF. Thank you, Swati. Have a great rest of your summer. Thank you so much for carving out some time to chat and wishing you much success on Koble. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today.
When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to learn about the latest in QR codes. They're stickers called spokenote. Stick with us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. QR codes are everywhere these days. You know, those little black and white squares that you can scan with your smartphone camera, and it opens up, I don't know, a restaurant menu or what have you. But what if you can create your very own notes with multimedia and then stick them on places? Well, that's the idea behind spokenote. Joining us on the line to tell us more is Mike Harmon. He's Chief Marketing Officer at spokenote. Hi, Mike. Thanks for your time today.
Mark, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So at a high level, what's spokenote all about?
Yeah, spokenote is the name of the company, and we make these products called spokenote stickers that allow anybody to add a video to anything. It's really sort of the first of its kind product. So the way that it works is the holder of the spokenote sticker can scan the code on the sticker and then record or upload a video from their phone and then place that sticker anywhere that they want someone to be able to see that message. So one of the early use cases that people got really excited about was being able to add a video message to the giving of a gift.
Oh, I like that. I have a couple in my hand here. Your company was nice enough to send me some samples, and it looks like just a little square sticker with those little black and white little tiny squares that I mentioned in my introduction. The idea is that you stick this to, say, a greeting card that you give to a loved one, and then when they scan this QR code using their phone's camera, it launches a video that you made. That's one of the applications.
That's exactly right. The process is really straightforward. We call it scan, smile, and share. So you scan the code with your phone, you upload or record the video, and then you share that that sticker so that your intended audience can then view it at their convenience. And one of the really cool things about this product, and one of the things that I'm excited about, the types of problems that we solve, is it's really about solving the problem of attention. It's really hard to get people's attention these days. And if you've got a way to let them know that they've got something that's been personalized and customized for their use or enjoyment, it's really a powerful tool. We see folks using this technology not only to augment a gift, but we got a big order from an Airbnb host that wanted to provide instructions for like the remote control or how to use the grill or the coffee machine inside, a couple dozen properties.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you about some of the other applications in a moment, but just going back to greeting cards, I remember there were some a few years back that would let you record an audio greeting and it had, a little battery in there and and I thought that was novel. This takes it to the next level with video, right?
It does. In fact, I'm glad you brought up the greeting cards because there actually is similar technology in one line of Hallmark's cards, and it's technology that's nicely developed. Folks will see it in the greeting card aisle. It's on the higher end cost wise, and one of the things that's nice about SpokeNote is each sticker is only $1. So it's a very small incremental cost compared to some of the alternatives out there.
Let's say I wanted to record one greeting and apply that to 10 different SpokeNote stickers. Is that possible, or does it have to be a unique video for each QR code?
No, you could do that if you wanted to do one video 10 times over.
Yeah.
You could do that. You would just want to probably have that video on your phone, and then you would upload that, go through that process of scanning and uploading 10 times.
I see. Yeah, I can imagine like putting this little QR sticker on the back of a business card and then having a video that people can see my work, for example, as a speaker on stage or as a TV host. If I wanted to use it as a multimedia business card, but have that same video applied to all the different QR codes that come in a kit kind of thing, if that was possible, or if it had to be one-to-one.
Yeah, you can do that one-to-many application.
Cool.
You start to get to a place where, for a long time, people have been able to generate QR codes and print them out or whatever for that one-to-many type application, like a restaurant menu that you mentioned at the beginning. What we see the real power is in that one-to-one application. Not that you can't do one-to-many, you certainly can. And that business card example that you brought out is really a good one. We have people coming to us saying that it's been a game changer for them. Someone who's got a new piece of software that they've written and they're able to basically do a demo using a SpokeNote sticker, passing along a business card and, having really, really great breakthrough, again, because you're able to get that precious attention that's sometimes hard to get.
Can you walk us through how it works? Do you first do something when you get these? Like I have like a 10-pack here, it looks like. Do I need to register at spokenote.com first, or do I stick this to an item, scan it myself, and then add a video greeting?
Yeah, that's a really important feature of the product, or I guess absence of a feature of the product. There is no app to download. There is no registration. You can pull your SpokeNote stickers out of the package. They come in 10 packs, so 10 unique codes that are recordable and usable. So let's say I'm a service technician for a water heater company, and I want to leave some instructions on what to do, what work was done, and how to perform certain important tasks with that device. So I can just very quickly grab one of my stickers, remove the code, scan it with my phone, leave my instructions, and then stick it right on the water heater. So it's right there in the context in which it's intended.
Sure. Where is the video hosted? Is it on your website?
SpokeNote has invested in building a best-in-class technological infrastructure. So our software and our videos are hosted on the Amazon cloud, and the ability to access those and the performance there has been really, really solid for us.
And what's the maximum length of a video?
Right now, it's capped at 5 minutes.
Okay. If you want to see these SpokeNote stickers in action while you're listening to this interview, just go to spokenote.com, just as it sounds, spokenote.com. You'll see how it works. There's a video, very cool technology. We're going to continue chatting with SpokeNote when we return on Tech It Out. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Mike Harmon. He is CMO at SpokeNote. We are learning about SpokeNote stickers, which lets you add video to anything. It's essentially a QR code that you customize. Why do you think now is the right time, Mike?
We joke around in the office that, QR codes are the comeback technology post-pandemic. I was running QR code related programs in the early 2010s in sort of that one-to-many context. And I think you're exactly right. Once people started using this, everyday people started using these as part of touchless experiences and at restaurants and things like that, it just became more ingrained. And then, a couple years ago, you probably had to load a QR code reader onto your phone. And
right.
Now it's embedded right within the camera of most, modern or, current issue phones of the major manufacturers. So a lot of these things are kind of converging, and a lot of customers come to us and friends and investors are like, gosh, I can't believe that this doesn't already exist. And, here we are a few months into our launch and, getting a lot of really positive feedback on the product.
Yeah, that's great. Who would you say SpokeNote stickers are for exactly? Is there like a target group that you're focusing on?
It's one of the things that gets me out of bed in the morning and also keeps me up at night. It has such a versatility.
Yeah.
I can, if you were to give me a person or a profession or whatever, I could give you a use case for the product. So, as a leader of the brand and a leader of the commercialization team here, we have to kind of place some bets in terms of places where we think it's really, really valuable. And some of the ones that are emerging are in the areas of, as we mentioned, gift augmentation. So whether it's greeting cards or gift cards, things like that, we're seeing a ton of uptake within the real estate community to use SpokeNotes for virtual tours or listings or thank yous for customers. Mm-hmm. Higher education is embracing it for things like student life. Students are introducing themselves out, with a sticker outside of their dorm room so people can scan and find out a little bit about them. Using it for admissions. Another area where we see a lot of uptake is for folks in the development world, whether it's business development or donor cultivation, things along those lines where you've got a high value transaction and you really, really, really want to get that person's attention. And SpokeNote does that.
Yeah, I can even see a band using this to have a demo of a song, whatever. So many applications.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so awesome. All right.
If there are any bands out there that want to try SpokeNote, hit me up. I'm a big music lover.
Awesome, Mike. So as we wrap up, you already hinted at the price, but why don't we summarize, as well as the best place to get going to order a set of SpokeNote stickers?
Sure. A 10-pack will cost you $9.99 on our website at spokenote.com. They're also available on Amazon. We currently have a bundle feature where you can get 3 10-packs for $19.99. So basically 3 for the price of 2.
All right, Mike. Well, great to chat with you. This is really exciting technology. It's kind of low tech meets high tech, and it's affordable. Spokenote.com to learn more. Thanks so much for your time, Mike.
Thank you, Mark.
Before we wrap up another episode of Tech It Out, episode 263, if you're on social media, drop by and say hi. Let me know what you're up to. If you've got any tech questions for me, feedback on the show. Maybe you've got suggestions for upcoming guests or topics, things you don't like about the program. I'm all ears. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Pick your poison. So whatever social platform you like, I should be there. Again, it's Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C. That's M-A-R-C, Saltzman with a Z. SALTZMAN. Would love to say hi. I've met a few people last week online who are listeners to Tech It Out. Some of them new. Some of them have been with us for several years, which is great. The show is about 5 years old. So fantastic to chat with listeners. And if you like Tech It Out, please do leave a star rating on your favorite podcast platform. You can leave a little review, click share, and add a couple of friends, family members, or colleagues. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. Hey, this show, Tech It Out, is brought to you by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. info. That's ASUS.com/US/radio. And speaking of computers, I also wanted to thank and acknowledge Western Digital, the parent company to WD drives, those external hard drives, SanDisk flash drives, all of which can be used to securely back up your important information, those files from your computer. You can even automate it. So every night at, say, 2 or 3 in the morning when you may not be using your computer, it backs it all up for you. You don't have to pay for monthly storage on cloud services. You can take it with you and travel and even add a password in the event you lose it. So really great offline and huge storage options from Western Digital. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to Tech It Out, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.